Are you ready to embark on a journey of exploration and unlock the magic of your wonder? There is so much more in the universe than we have been shown. It is time to ask those questions, dissolve those barriers, and embrace your extraordinary life. Here is your fellow explorer in the realm of curiosity and discovery, with almost 20 years of inviting people to embrace the greatness of them, Donnielle Carter.
Hello, welcome everybody. So let me ask you, when you look in the mirror and you see the face looking back at you, do you think it's yours? Do you think that's what your body wants to look like? And do you think you have any control over what your body looks like? Or do you think you're the effect of genes, environment, and behaviors only? What if there is more? And what if there is a greater possibility? Because guess what? There is. Today we are exploring, whose body are you wearing? What are we exploring that on? We're exploring it on the exploration of wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter. I am a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, intuitive empowerment coach, laughter-inducing change agent, and basically your biggest fan. Whenever I work with you, whether you're listening to a podcast, we're doing it in a class, or doing it in a private session, I am your biggest fan and will desire for you to get and have the life and body that you desire. So, as I indicated before, today's topic on the exploration of wonder is, whose body are you wearing? And I know it's one of those weird questions. It's one of those that stops you in your track and you go, I did not expect you to ask me that. I expect you to ask me if I'm judging my body or if I am doing like the right things for my body, but what do you mean, whose body am I wearing? Well, I have worked, oh gosh, I said I was a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, but I've worked with bodies, oh my gosh, over 35 years now. And because I started at a young age, thank you very much. But I did, no joke. I was helping my mom with her radio show from a very early age. She was a nutritionist and a health talk radio show host herself. And so I've been working with bodies for a long time. But it was about 20 years ago when I started looking at the energetics of bodies and the energetics of what we do with bodies, how it affects our bodies, and what actually becomes possible when we acknowledge the energy and really look at what we're doing to our bodies. Okay. So one of the things I do love to talk about bodies. A lot of my shows, a lot of my classes are about bodies. And first, a topic that I used to hate to talk about and I used to hate to admit that I had a body. Anybody else ever do that? Be like, ugh, I can't believe I have a body. If I didn't have a body, you know what? I bet I wouldn't have any problems. Yeah, but think of how much you would also miss out on if you didn't have a body, okay? That's something that my mom used to always say on her radio show is like, what would you miss out on if you didn't have a body? So much, all right? Oh, and if you're ever wondering what your body is saying, I have this unique thing called Body Bit Chat. It's a daily email, Monday through Friday, from your body. It's a tidbit of information from your body. And it's free. All you have to do is go to my website, donnielle.com/bodybitchat, or donnielle.com, and then it's on the top menu bar. And I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, and the bodies were very loud in asking me to do this, and it is truly information from your body. So I do invite you to check that out. If topics like this interest you, you want to know what your body is saying. And so it's just a Body Bit Chat, a daily tidbit of information from your body. So, as I talked about before, we look in the mirror and we go, yes, that's what my body looks like. Kind of, I think. And I won't make your head explode today by going, truth, is that actually what your body looks like? Because we're enough head exploding topics for today. We'll do that one another time, okay? But are we the effect of our genes, our environment, and our behaviors only? Are those the only things that actually affect the way our body looks? All right? Because I'm a behavior change expert. I've done all the classes, I've taken all the tests, I've helped thousands of people. And is it only about our behavior changes? Is it only about our genes? Is it only about our environment? You know what? No. From my experience, straight out, no. Our genes, our environment, and behaviors are not the only things that are creating our body. For me, interestingly enough, one of the greatest things that I've seen create bodies is our judgments, is our points of view, is the stance we take, the opinions that we have of our bodies, or what our bodies are supposed to look like, or what our bodies are supposed to behave as. Okay, so this is some of what we're going to be exploring today, is how these projections, these judgments, these opinions, these stances, how they affect the physical look of our body, the energetics of our body, and the body image that we have of an opinion of we have of our body. And I'll say again, what our body actually looks like. All right. So let me introduce a topic really quickly before we get more into this. And I'll speak more about it on other podcasts, and I have, and in books and classes, and it's one of my favorite things. But it's like, what if you can change your body and the way it looks and feels by your request and the points of view or opinions you take? Okay? Because guess what? You can. You can actually change the way your body looks and feels by your points of view, your requests, and opinions about your body. Okay? Through consciousness, quantum physics, science, metaphysics, all that kind of stuff. All of it talks about if you have a point of view and then you observe something, you interact with it and change it. Okay? Simple sentence, you guys, simple sentence, but big sentence. But you guys have heard this a lot, right? We have a point of view, you observe something, you interact with it, you change it. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of that because I did a lot of that in Science Proves Magic is Real, my podcast, one of my first podcasts. Go check that out. It was like January of 2025. But I want to break down this sentence a little bit because it really speaks to all that we're going to talk about today. Okay. When we observe something, we interact with it and change it. Observe, interact, change. Okay. Basic concept. We observe, we interact, we change. We interact with it by observing it. How do we observe something? We put our energy there. It's not just like, I see you, and now I'm interacting with you. We observe it by seeing it. We observe it with energetics. The energetics could be a judgment, a point of view, a request, a ask, multiple things like that. But when we observe it, this is what we're doing. We observe it. We interact with it, with the energy, and then we shift and change it. Okay? I want to talk about that word interact with, though, because we tend to think of interact as only a physical, tangible thing. Like, I'm interacting with my microphone, right? I'm touching my microphone, I'm interacting with it. You guys can, if you're watching on the video, you can see it like move up and down because I touched it, I interacted with it, and I shifted it, I changed the position a little bit, right? I interacted with it. But what's interesting is we also do that energetically. We look at something, we observe it with our eyes, with the energy, and then we interact with it. So what happens when we interact energetically? And I looked up the original word interact because that's where I like to go with all this kind of stuff. Is interact is to act up. I'm reading my notes. To act upon another, to communicate, to work with. Okay, so let me say this again. To interact means to act upon another, to communicate, and to work with. Right? So let's look at that again. That original, that all this metaphysics, physics, quantum physics, consciousness, science all says that if we observe something, we interact with it and change it. So by the very nature of that interact, what are we doing? We are acting upon another. We are communicating with, and we are working with it. So this observation and interact and changing is not one-sided. We are, by definition, in so many different realms, when we observe it, interact with it, and change it, it goes beyond the physics, the physical. Sorry, my cats decided to come and play. It goes beyond the physical, but also into the energetics, but then the energetics can affect the physical. Okay, so it's not just like, oh, I interact with this microphone because it's sitting right here in front of me. I observe it. You observe it, you interact with it, you change it. You're working with it. And that's one of the key things I really wanted to bring up about this is the second you observe it, you interact with it, you begin working with it. So in your observation, when you start to interact with it, what energy are you being? And that's really the core of what we're talking about today. With whose body are you wearing? Because if we can have a point of view or a judgment or an opinion or a viewpoint about how we think our body should look like, feel like, be like, if we have that energy, we observe this thing that we call our body, and then we interact with it and begin to work with it. What instructions are you giving your body? Because by the nature of, like I said, science and metaphysics, all of it, it says, oh, when we interact, we change it. Right. So how are you interacting? What information are you giving your body? One of my favorite questions is, what instructions have you given your body? You know, I did a body class, an in-person body class this past weekend, and that question blew their minds apart. I'm like, what instructions have you given your body? And they're like, oh my gosh. So this is really, like I said, this is the core and the heart of it, is you observe your body, you interact with your body, and you begin to work with it through that interaction, and then you change it. How are you changing it? What points of view are you taking? Where did those points of view come from? And what can you do now? Okay. So in that realm of whose body are you wearing? How have you created your body? Have you created your body because of what your mom said, because what society said, because of what you desire? Rarely it's because of what you desire. Most of the time it is because we've been told by someone else or something else that this is the way it's supposed to be. And so that's why I'm like, whose body are you wearing? Is it the one you're actually desiring? Is it the body? Is your body the way you and your body desire it to be? Or is your body the way other people think it should be? And you've went, okay, that's a good place to look from. I'll do that. And then you interact with your body with this energy of that judgment, that point of view, that instruction. You interact with your body and then it changes. You interact with your body with that energy there and then it changes. Okay. So there's so many different ways that this can come up, and we're going to go into that. Okay. So we're going to go on to our first commercial break. But one of the things I'm going to ask you to really ponder during this commercial break, how many points of view, opinions, outlooks, perspectives do you have creating your body? Whose body are you wearing? And don't worry, if right now your head's swimming, I get it. It's one of those topics that usually if it's in person, people just sit there and stare at me like, wow. But because there's so much truth to it, people feel, their universe expands. They're like, yeah, I know there's something there, but please say more words. So don't worry, I will always say more words, my friend. But we are going to go on our first commercial break. And today we're exploring, whose body are you wearing? Because hopefully you're wearing yours. And no, I'm not talking some horror movie, whose body are you wearing? That is not the topic of this show, my friends, okay? I mean, I like a good horror movie as much as the other person, but this and the creation of your body should not be a horror movie. So we are exploring that today of And what I asked you to do during the break is how many points of view, opinions, outlooks, perspectives do you have creating your body? All right. All right, my friends, you are exploring with me, Donnielle, on the Exploration of Wonder, and we are an Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and your fellow explorer, Donnielle, and I am so excited you are here with me, exploring this now in the past, in the present, or the future. Today we are exploring, whose body are you wearing? And and I was joking before the break. I'm like, it's not a horror movie. We're not doing something like icky. But looking at this, truly looking at the energetics of it, whose body are you wearing? Okay. And what I mean by that is how many points of view, opinion, outlooks, perspectives do you have creating your body? Okay. Just that one question is really intense. How many points of view do you have creating your body? You're like, a lot. Yeah. And in the first segment, I was talking about how in science, metaphysics, quantum physics, even religion to a degree, but science does tell us that when we observe something, we interact with it and change it. So we do that energetically with our body. We observe our body, whether it's the physical or the energetics of it. We interact with it with judgments, points of view, and then we change it. And in this way, we are giving our bodies instructions of how to be, who to be, what to look like, what to feel like. So this does involve body image, but it also goes beyond that. Because, body image is a great topic. I love it. I have a specialty class about shattering the lie of body image. But this also goes to the actual creation of your body and able to change it with the points of view and the judgments. But don't fear, because if you have the ability to observe, interact, and change your body with judgments and points of view in place, guess what? You also have the ability to observe, interact with, and change with requests, with gratitude and desire of what you and your body actually desires to look like. Okay, and we're going to get to that. But one of the things I first want to introduce you to is ways we do this, right? Where do these points of view and judgments come from? Because I get a lot of you are listening to this and you're like, yeah, I get it's not mine, but how did it get here? Where does it come from? What's up, Donnielle? I get it. So okay. And really quickly, one of the elephants in the room that a lot of people come to me with, they're like, what about genetics? Huh? What about genetics? Because I my family has cancer, so I'm obviously going to get cancer. Or my family just looks this way. We're short, we're fat, we're tall, we're thin, we're whatever. So that's, see, we all look alike. I tell you, it's just genetics. Which came first, the genetics or the point of view? Okay. Points of view. Trust me. So does genetics play an effect? Sure, when we let it. Okay. Again, that's a big controversial topic. And if you want to hear more about how genetics may not be the actual building blocks of our bodies, drop me a line at hello@donnielle.com and I'll do a full show on that. Okay. But how many of you know people who are adopted? Oh, my cat's back. Hello, Bree. Anybody with kids and animals know they're in charge, not us. Anyway, how many of you know somebody who is adopted? Right? I've even dated one. And what was really interesting about this gentleman is we were talking one day and I'm like, wow, you really look like your dad. He goes, I'm adopted. I'm like, I know you are, but you really look like your dad. He goes, I know, I really do. Tell me how genetics dictated that. I am not the only one who observed this. It's actually some kind of phenomenon out there. I don't know what it's called, but they gave it some name so they could control it. But like this gentleman that I was dating, which came first, the genetics, some random genetics that he just happened to be adopted into the same family? No, there was no controversy about like he was a hidden child of somebody or whatever, so he's still the same genetic line. No, he was completely adopted from a completely different place. And guess what? His point of view of desiring to connect to his family made him look like his family from birth, even though it wasn't the family he was genetically born into. Okay. So this is what we're talking about with genetics. Can they play a role? Sure, when we let it. Okay. And yeah, in the chat room, they're talking about like when we live with others, we start looking like them. Yeah. And sometimes there's even all those memes of like owners who look like their pets or pets who look like their owners. Yeah. Tell me how genetics helps us look like an animal. No, it doesn't. Okay. These are where our points of view and our opinions and our judgments come into play. We observe, we interact with, which means communicating and working with, and then we change. Okay. So where do the points of view come from, right? That we have creating our body. And let me preface this by saying a lot of these things we don't actually know. Okay. It's kind of like, I don't know where this came from, or it's also not cognitive. Most of us don't sit there and have a checklist of like, today I am going to create my body from the judgment that in my family we're too fat. And so I'm going to create a body that's too fat. No, we don't do that. We don't do it cognitively. Most of the time we just do it subconsciously and with reaction. Okay. But so that's part of all this is to really get you to look at the place where you are doing it unconsciously in a reaction so that you actually have the choice and action to do something different. Because how many of you, like I said, I've worked with thousands of people in their bodies, and how many of you come and go, I would like my body to be different? It doesn't even have to be from judgment of like, I hate my body, it has to be different. A lot of us love our body. Yeah, there's things I'd want to change. Because how many of those things don't actually fit your body? Because they're not your judgments, they're not your points of view. So in that way, we are wearing somebody else's body. And that's why a lot of the things that we judge about our body, I was like, I just judge my body about this. I don't know, it just feels wrong. Yeah. It's not because you're judging it that it's, sorry, let me see how to say this without a lot of words. Have you ever had an element of your body that just felt wrong? Have you ever had parts of your body that felt like you were wearing somebody else's pants? It just felt too tight, or it was uncomfortable, or you even had a hard time kind of moving your body because it just didn't seem to work. Those are all indications most of the time that you are wearing somebody else's point of view. You are creating your body from somebody else's judgment or point of view, And that's why it feels so foreign and wrong to you, because it's not you creating your body from what you and your body desire. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it could be great for their body. It doesn't have to be a quote unquote negative thing. But if it's different than what you actually desired, what you came into this world, and you're like, I'm going to create a body that looks like this and feels like this. And then you get hit with everybody else's judgments and points of view. You're like, oh, that's how we're supposed to create bodies. Okay, sure. Okay. But it feels weird. That's because it's not what your original desire was. It's not what you and your body desired to create it to look like and feel like when you came into this lifetime. All right. So where do some of these points of view come from? A lot of them come from family. I am not making family wrong. There are members of my family that I utterly and thoroughly love and adore and just have a great time being around. Okay. Whoop, sorry, microphone. So family is a big one though. It's that I look like my mother. Yay. Right. Or what's interesting is I've had a lot of people go, well, if I look like my family, I know I'm a part of my family. Because how many of us are seeking inclusion? And so it's like, oh, well, it's a good thing that I look like my family because they can't deny me. And, you know, in my eclectic view, everything, I also have an archaeology degree. So I've done a lot of study of like both archaeology and anthropology. So study of man from dawn of man to now. And there's actually a theory that the first couple years of a baby's life, it looks more like the male, like the father, so that it is undeniable that it is the dad. And the theory comes from like when it was more tribal and whatnot. And it's like, well, we know it came from the mom because boop, came out of you. So it's like, we know we came out of the mom. But there is the theory that to have that, make sure that the man and father would support and take care of during those lean times, that the baby the first couple of years is supposed to look like the father. And then it can change and alter. I'm like, well, that's an interesting point of view. But it's like, if the mother has that point of view of, okay, so the baby has to look like the father for the first couple of years so that we're taken care of and provided for, the baby's going to hear that and be like, okay, look like the dad the first few years, and so that we'll be provided and cared for. So it's really interesting. So it's like even before birth, we can start getting these points of view in there, right? It's like, because when we're in our mommy, we're listening. Before we're in our mommy, we're listening. Okay. But other things like you have your mother's hips, you're built just like your father. Our family just naturally gains weight easily. We just can't help it, right? Those kind of stuff, isn't it? Yay. All right. And then other parts, friends. And I also like to put culture into this because have you ever noticed that how different bodies are over the years? And people like to say, oh, well, it's hairstyles and clothes and that kind of stuff. But if you look deeper at it, the hairstyles and clothes usually fit the type of body. So which came first, the type of body everybody decided to have that lifetime, that generation, or the clothes and hairstyles and everything that fit it? Okay. Because if you look at that, it's not just the clothes and lifestyles, the bodies are the same too. Is that a coincidence? No, it's like a cultural thing of like, okay, this generation, this set of, the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, we're going to look like this. We're going to have bodies like this. So it's like, it's fitting into that culture too. We can get those points of view from the culture. Oh, I'm going to grow up in the 80s. I'm supposed to have a body like this. I've grown up in the 70s. I have bodies like this. And yeah, we can get into, well, like bodies started changing when we started doing, canning food and having less nutrients. And yeah, I get it all into that. I even have a show coming up called Do You Know You're an Addict? And it's all about food and stuff. And which came first? The canning the food or whatever, or the point of view that canning the food create our body this way. Okay. So really look at the culture. I find it really, really fascinating that it's not only our the clothes and the hair, but the bodies were similar per decade as well. So do check that out. So we're going to take our next break. When we come back, I have lots more of like, where do these points of view come from? And then we're also going to start getting into, what do I do with it? Okay, fine. You're right. I have all these points of view. Now what do I do with it? How do I create, how do I change it? How do I create something different? Well, all of that is coming, all right? But I would also like to invite you, if you like topics like this about bodies, if you are wondering about bodies, if you're curious about bodies, if you are wondering what your body is saying and communicating, please do check out Body Bit Chat. It's a free daily email Monday through Fridays it's from my email account, but it's from Bodies, trust me. But it's just a little tidbit of information every day from your body of like, hey, you know what? Speaking from the body's like, you know what? I am your greatest fan and things like that. It's really interesting what comes up because it doesn't come from me. When I am writing it, I may be the hands, but I am not the energy of it. It is truly from the body. So please do check it out. You can go to Donnielle.com/body bit chat or go to my website, Donnielle.com, and it's in the top menu bar as well. All right, my friends, you are watching or listening to the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorers, Donnielle Carter, nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and I am so excited that you are here exploring this with me now, in the past, or in the future. Thank you for bringing your body with you, assuming you have a body. I don't know. Maybe you're an entity listening to this and somebody with a body push play. So I thank you both for listening and sharing this podcast today. And speaking of sharing, if you are enjoying this, if you're enjoying my podcast, please do consider finding me on things like Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, iTunes, all of that, and giving me a 5-star rating and leaving a review. It seems like a little thing, no big deal, but really to a growing show like mine, it is such an amazing thing, and it is such a contribution. So thank you, and please be willing to take the moment and do that. I would be infinitely grateful. All right, so today we are talking about whose body are you wearing? I'm going to find sound effects because sometimes sound effects are just needed. And but really, whose body are you wearing? And we've been exploring the concept of you can take a point of view, interact with your body, and in that energetic interaction, actually change the physical mass of it, and it shows up different, okay? And so we've been talking about where some of those points of view come from. So the culture one we talked about, but also the friends, because friends can be a nice subset of a culture, right? All those 80s John Hughes movies tells us about high school and things like that, but it's like, how many of us want to look like our friends? How many of our friends just all look alike? You know, even when I was a kid, my two besties from high school who were still friends, is everybody else in our high school, you could tell who they were friends with because they all looked the same. And one of the things I always appreciated about me and my two besties from high school is we all look different. Guess what? We still all look different. That was always like a point of pride that we all look different, but we are friends. And somebody in the chat room was like, yeah, I was one of those. Yeah, you could always tell who their friends were because they all looked alike. Okay, so this is another place that the points of view begin shifting and changing our body. And it's not just the clothes. It's not just the hair. It's not just the makeup. Your points of view will change the physical aspect of your body. Okay. So here are some other questions. So these are some questions I want you to start asking yourself, but they're also questions to help you realize where these points of view came from. So they're kind of both of awareness and then what do I do with it? Okay. Because one question is, who likes your body this way? Okay. So when we're looking for these points of view of who likes your body this, or points of view like where we created our bodies from, who likes your body this way? Okay. And is it a family, relationship, a friend? You know, I had one client, it's like, ever since I was married, ever since I got married, I just seem frumpier. I'm like, because your husband likes your body that way. She's like, oh. So because she wanted to make him happy, because a lot of us will change the appearance of our body to make other people happy, to be less threatening, to make, to meet what they think is what they desire. Like another one, I know somebody who really wanted to be with this guy. And this guy really liked tall, skinny blondes. And she had the tall and skinny, but her hair was dark. So she dyed her hair blonde so she could connect with this person. Okay. So this is also like who likes your body that way and who are you trying to connect to? Culture, group of people, or like I said, she really wanted to be with that guy. So she dyed her hair blonde. She was with the guy. And then she's like, I don't like you. So she left. She broke up and then she went back to her darker hair that her and her body was actually desiring. Okay. Who are you trying to maintain a relationship with? Okay. Just let that one sit there for a minute. Who are you trying to maintain a relationship with? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it your lover? Is it your spouse? Is it your children? Because I know a lot of people who create mom bods or dad bods to maintain the point of view that they are the mother or the father and maintain that relationship with their child or children. Because who wants a sexy mom or dad? Most people don't. They're like, oh, no. You're supposed to look like a mom. You're supposed to look like a dad. And so we start creating our body from points of view like that. Okay. Another question. What are you creating your body for? Okay. And as I'm asking you these questions, some of them are going to hit and you're going to have awarenesses come up, which is great. We're going for the awareness because when you have the awareness, then you can actually go, oh, I created it from this awareness. I'm going to give my body new instructions and create it from what me and my body actually desire. Okay. So this is why I'm asking you these questions to give you these awarenesses. So, but what are you creating your body for? I have a client who, as I was working with her, changing her body, she's like, oh my gosh, I've tried to lose weight. It just never works. I've tried to lose weight. Never works. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, I have not had a weight problem before. It blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, we explored this. What are you creating your body for? And she's like, well, before I married my husband, I was kind of a slut. I kind of slept with a lot of people. And I'm pretty sure that if I lost weight and I was thinner, I would do that again. And I want to be faithful to my husband. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. So she was actually creating her body as a way to stop herself from cheating instead of just looking at it and like, hey, you could actually be faithful with your husband. But that was a whole other topic. But I bring this up because she was focused on the weight and the weight never changed. Because the weight was her answer. Where the energy actually was is that she was afraid she would cheat on her husband. So once we started exploring that, she was able to release the weight, lose the weight, whatever you want to call it, because she was no longer requiring it to keep herself in line. Okay. So what are you creating your body for? Okay. And what's interesting is like, and when we kind of coming back to the family one, similar but different, it's like, where did we learn these points of view from? Okay. And they could be, what's interesting is they could be offhand comments. You know, it's like one of my favorites that I always share about me is one of my sisters was a cheerleader, and this just gorgeous, she's an amazing person. But our father told her something about how she was supposed to look. And then offhanded to me one day, she said, oh, remember to always, when you're in front of people, always hold in your stomach. And I went, oh, I'm supposed to have a stomach I hold in. Guess what I created? I created a stomach to hold in. I mean, and that's just the perpetration of it, right? Because it was originally our father telling her she should look a different way. Whole other story. But there was that one of like, oh my gosh, I created a stomach because I thought you're supposed to have a stomach to hold in. And it was just an offhand comment, right? And then other people, it's like, oh, if you eat after 7, everything you eat goes straight to your hips and you're going to gain weight. Sometimes it's those offhand comments that we go, I'm going to create everything from that, because we're kind of looking around for instructions, right? And so it's like, oh, you're creating it this way, that'll work for me too. So I could go on and on and on, and I'm not, because I want to get also to, it's like, okay, so you have the awareness, now what? You have the awareness, now what do you do? Okay. What do all of these have in common is sometimes they're physically said to us, but a lot of times they're also energetically just said. So we have to be really aware and acknowledge of how psychic we are, how intuitive you are, how aware are you. And, you know, one of the things I like to say, I'm like, sorry, you're not nuts, you're just really aware. Okay. So you really have to acknowledge that you're aware so you can begin to recognize what was your voice and what was somebody else's voice. Because if we're looking for like, wait a minute, if I've been creating my body and wearing everybody else's body, then what do I want to look like? What does my body want to look like? Well, and that's when we come to, you be aware of the point of view, don't judge it, and then you have total choice to create your body. Okay. So you ask those questions, you look at where the points of view came from, and then you, 1, be aware of it. You're like, oh, that's what it is. Fantastic. And then 2, don't judge it. Because when you judge it, you just solidify it. No bueno, no good. Okay. So don't judge it. Just be like, okay, cool. I got grateful for the awareness. That's where I was creating my body from. And then 3, you have total choice with it. And then you can do things like connect to your body and say, body, what would you like to look like? And then allow that information to surface. Because if your universe isn't so full of other people's judgments and points of view and agendas of what your body should look like, you can begin to hear your body. Body, what would you like to look like? And then you can also be like, body, what is required to create you like that? And then you begin to recognize your voice and your body's voice. Because didn't you and your body come in going, we're going to create a body and look like this and do this and whatever? It's like, you know, we had a soft plan. Plans change, but we had a soft plan. It's like, we're going to do this and be there or whatever, right? And so it's getting back to that. What did you desire and what did your body desire to look like this lifetime? Okay. And then to really start playing with that. So 1, become aware of the point of view, which through those questions and those explorations is what it is. And to help with that, if what I'm about to suggest feels heavy and like, oh my gosh, that would suck and it feels so heavy, don't do it. Some of you, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. So please do it. But one of the things in this, like becoming aware of the points of view, if you feel lost, if you feel like you're not sure where to go, you can also write down the story of your body. Just kind of let your mind wander and then write down things that you've heard about yourself or your family or friends or whatever throughout your life. Okay. It's things like, my body always said I was like blah, blah, blah. Or I heard comments about my appearance, or my favorite personal one is my family was always told me, Well, you're a redhead. I was born very strawberry blonde. Like I was the redhead in the family. They're like, well, you're a redhead, so you'll have a redhead temper. So you better find a man who's very understanding and easy to control, so you don't walk all over him. And I'm like, I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to be that mean person. I don't want to walk all over a guy. So I made myself less redhead. I slowly, you can see it in photos. Over the years, I stopped being so much of a redhead. And then all the times when I'm like, actually, I feel really like myself, I was more of a redhead. It was really interesting. So it's like, it's those weird things. It's like, I believe I look this way because blah, 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 blah. So it's like, you can write the story of your body, and it'll be interesting the memories that surface of that we quote unquote not repressed or forgot or whatever, but the memories that surface of them, like, oh my gosh, I was told I should look like this. Oh my gosh, I was told I should behave this way. Oh my gosh, I was told if my body looks like this way, this would happen, and I didn't want that. So write the story of your body. You'll begin to discover some of those judgments and those points of view and where they came from, right? Because the first one is like, oh, I was creating my body from this and giving my body those instructions. I'm gonna give it new instructions, okay? But it starts with the awareness. All right, my friends, we are on the last break, which I can't believe. But you are watching or listening to the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter, and we are on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility. This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle, and I am so excited that you are here exploring this with me. Bodies are one of my favorite things to explore, and I am curious about, which is interesting because I used to hate it. And I don't just mean like, oh yeah, I don't like my body. I hated it. I tried to ignore that I had one. Everything I liked about myself had nothing to do with my body. And now I love it, and I love exploring it. And bodies can be such a gift, and bodies are so much more than what it looks like, even what it feels like. And I get it, pain. Sometimes that pain can be so intense we can't perceive anything else, and I get it, and I have lots of tools for that. There has been such a discovery, really, of the joy and possibility that bodies can be. So thank you for exploring this with me today of whose body are you wearing? I hope you're beginning to see more often than not, we're not wearing our body. We're wearing the judgments and the points of view of what other people think bodies should look like, feel like, smell like, taste like, be like. And then we go, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. And then we go into the physics, the consciousness, the quantum physics, the science, the metaphysics, all of it, of when you observe something, you interact with it and you change it. And so hopefully today you begin to see that when you observe something, whether it's somebody else's point of view, how they are doing it. And sometimes it's like, well, they're doing their body this way and it seems to be working, so that must be how it is. And then you interact with your body through communication, through energetics or vocal or written, who knows. But as that interact, you begin to communicate with, work with and act upon with these judgments, these points of view that come from so many different places. And then we change it. Okay? That is the very basic nature of this reality that we're living in. Observe, interact, change it. We change it through observing it and interacting with it. So why doesn't that do that with our body as well? Absolutely it does. We observe it. We observe our body. We observe other people's points of view. We interact with our body and we give it instructions and then we change it. Okay? So hopefully this show gave you some places of where these points of view are coming from and then things to do, because it's the awareness is key. And then not judging it is key. So I guess there's two keys. But really, you ask the question, you get the awareness of like, oh crap, that's where that came from. Okay, cool. Don't judge it, because when you judge it, you solidify it. And then you get, okay, body, what would you like to look like? Body, what was required to have you be that way? And then you give your body new instructions. And then you interact with your body in a different way. And who knows, you might actually enjoy your body more. Right? I mean, what a concept. Actually wake up every day and go, oh, yay, I still have this body. Thank you for being with me. Right? My desire for you is to wake up every morning going, yay. I mean, we all have those weird days. And what if it could be less frequent? Okay. What if it could be less frequent that we have those days? Because you know what it is. So observe, interact, and change it. Instead of doing it from reaction, I'm inviting you today to do it from action. What instructions would you like to give your body? And don't do those instructions from judgment. Oh my gosh, please don't, because that just solidifies it, and not in a good way. It actually solidifies it in a way that doesn't create, okay? So get the awareness of whose body you've been wearing with their judgments and their points of view and who you're trying to connect with and all of that kind of stuff, all those opinions, all those places that I gave you, and give your body new instructions. And I can't wait to see what you and your body are going to look like next. All right. So speaking of next week's show is a personal one for me as well. Next week's show is your life on repeat? How to identify it and break free. And I'm not just talking Groundhog's Day, because you can have every day be different, and yet every day is your life on repeat. I find that fascinating because I realized I was doing it. So that's why I said it's a very personal one for me. So I hope you join me next week for Is Your Life on Repeat? How to Identify and Break Free. Well, basically just choose something different. All right. And as today we've been talking about bodies, if you are ever wondering what your body is saying, I invite you to check out Body Bit Chat. It has been such an honor to be a part of this. The bodies talked to me for a couple years before I actually said, fine, I'll do it. But it's a daily tidbit, a piece of information from your body, and it's delivered free on email Monday through Fridays. And the logo even says transcribed by Donnielle, because it doesn't come from me. I literally will sit there, my body and I will sit there and go, bodies, what would you like to say? And then I'll be like, okay. And then I type it out. So it's not from me. It is truly a piece of information from your body, and it's inspiring, encouraging. I'll reread it and go, oh, thank you, body. That's amazing. And it is one of the things that I hear the most about, that people just love. I get so many emails of gratitude for that. So check it out, donnielle.com/bodybitchat, or go to donnielle.com, 2 N's, 2 L's, DONNIELLE.com, and it's on the top menu. All right. So please, you guys, if bodies are something you love to explore, I'd love to explore it with you. And this one, whose body are you wearing? Let's get you to wearing your body, shall we? It'll be more comfortable. It will feel better. And until next week, my friends, I hope you join me. Make it a fun week, a happy week, a flowy week. Be back next week. I will be. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you then.
Thank you for exploring with us today. Donnielle returns Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Until then, be curious, be wonder, and explore the magical universe around you.